The iPhone X is one of my favorite iPhones, but I haven't really talked about it a lot on this channel. In this video, I'm going to go over why I think this was Apple's biggest innovation, maybe ever. So first, this was the 2017 iPhone. This was announced in September, but it actually released in November of 2017, a little bit after it was announced. One of the cool facts about this phone, this was the shortest selling iPhone ever. This phone launched in November of 2017, and it was discontinued in September of 2018. And one of the absolute best features of this phone, just hands down, is this screen. This was the first iPhone to get rid of that home button, which they were using for years prior to this. This was the first iPhone that did not feature the classic home button design. And putting this next to the 7 Plus, the 7 Plus just looks a lot bigger. But actually, because the bezels are smaller on the 10 technically has a larger display, although the 7 Plus is a little bit wider, which some people prefer. I really like the design of the 10. In my opinion, it's just one of Apple's best designs. The bezels just look so nice, they're very uniform, and in a way, I think the 10 looks better than any other phone out there. Looking at the back, this phone just has this really nice camera setup right here. So this was the first and really the only iPhone to feature this type of camera setup. The iPhone XS also had this type of setup, but I just consider those two phones kind of more or less the same as far as design goes. But this has the flash in the middle. This is something that a lot of Android manufacturers tried to kind of clone off of Apple, but they couldn't do it as well as Apple. I think that's because this phone has this really nice stainless steel ring right around the cameras, and it just looks great. And this was also the first iPhone to have a glass back. Well, technically more like the third because the iPhone 8 series came out slightly before this, but still, this was the first fully flagship featured iPhone to have wireless charging, which is something that the 7 Plus lacked. And I think that was a big thing for the iPhone because without wireless charging, MagSafe would have never came out, and MagSafe is a kind of big feature to modern iPhones, seeing as it is kind of one of Apple's highlighted features now. So one thing that the iPhone X brought back from the iPhone 4 was the stainless steel sides, and the sides of this phone just look really nice. Overall, this is one of the greatest designed iPhones, especially in this space gray color. I really like just how this phone contrasts with everything. The black sides just look nice. This phone doesn't really absorb fingerprints like you'd expect it to, at least the space gray model of this phone. And there was a silver model which just had bare stainless steel, which looked nice, but it was never really my favorite color. And for whatever reason, the phone just kind of froze up on me there. But another thing about this phone, this is what pretty much forced people into learning the gesture system. So this phone, unlike the older iPhones, actually was controlled with gestures. And this is something that every iPhone has had since then. And it's really cool because this system works the same on iOS 11 as it does on iOS 17 and 18. And this phone is on iOS 14, but this phone got support all the way up to iOS 16 with the A11 processor in this thing. It was really impressive from a phone from 2017. This was back when Samsungs were getting 2 years of updates. Google phones were barely even a thing, but they still got, 2-3 years of updates. This phone got support from when the Google Pixel 2 came out to when the Google Pixel, I believe, 7 came out. The final thing that Apple introduced on this phone that was just groundbreaking was the Face ID technology. This is another bit of technology that is still used in every iPhone to this day. Face ID was just truly a groundbreaking technology. So unlike other companies, Apple didn't do just iris scanning or just photo scanning. Apple did this properly. Apple had just these array of sensors that would pretty much track every movement to make sure that nobody else is getting into the phone. And this technology has yet to fail me. I've never had anyone else be able to unlock my Face ID iPhone, and honestly, I kind of doubt that anyone will. I remember watching the event for this phone live when it came out, and I was just really excited to get one of these phones, and I got one later in 2017. Of course, it's not this exact phone. I haven't had my 2017 iPhone X in years, but I really like just the iPhone X and everything that it brought to the table for iPhones and Apple in general. And this phone was really just the pioneer of the new design for technology. This phone really shaped the way that phones were made from now on. This was one of the first phones with a conventional notch. This was one of the first phones to have stainless steel sides, at least in 2017, and this phone just gave this design such a good look and a good name, and I really think that Apple couldn't have done this phone too much better. So with all that said, thank you guys for watching this video. That's why I really like the iPhone X, and goodbye.